All right. We have a husband and wife, sans wife. Right? Is that the right term for font? Sans means without?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She had to take care of their kid. Had a doctor's appointment with a broken leg. So you just have Ryan here, which is perfect. So I'll let him introduce himself. He bought a golf course 5 years ago. He and his wife did. So Rob thought it would be interesting to hear from that avenue as a spouse purchase business. But with that, I will turn it over to him. Please give him your undivided attention. That means take out your ear pods, put your phones away, all the simple elementary things you should know. All right.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Vannatter, and as Candy said, my wife, can everybody in the back hear me? Okay. As Candy said, my wife and I, we bought Albany Golf Club in October. Actually, Saturday was actually 5 years ago that we had bought the golf course. And Rob thought it'd be a great idea to have husband and wife up here to kind of give the story from a married couple's perspective, but unfortunately my son broke his leg playing tennis, and so he is at a doctor's appointment. So you guys just get me, okay? I'll give you guys a little bit of a background from both of us. I graduated from Ball State in '97, probably maybe before most of your guys' parents even, but so my wife graduated, I think she said in '06 from Ball State. I have an accounting degree. She has a nursing degree. So combined, we have zero golf course ownership, knowledge, experience in any capacity, okay? She was a ER nurse, and she was, for 15 years she did that. The last 7, she was the trauma department manager in the ER at Ball. I was a banker for 21 years, and then the last 9 years, I've actually ran Ruoff Mortgage here in Muncie. So why did we buy a golf course? How did we buy a golf course? We were, the golf course is Albany Golf Club. It's in the northeast part of the county here, a little town called Albany. It's about 15, 20 minutes northeast of here. The course was established in 1969. That's when it was built, and it was a 9-hole little course then. In 1998, it was transformed into 18 holes, and they put in a housing addition there. When they did that, I actually was the third person to ever build a house there. So I've kind of spent my whole life, a whole adult life in that community. Week before Labor Day, 2019, the owner calls me up and says, "Hey, would you like to buy the golf course?" And, sounds like a great idea, but, I'm at Ruoff, it's going great. My wife's running, the trauma department. She's super busy. I was like, love to, but, don't really have the ability to probably handle it all. He said, "No problem, just want to let you know that come January 1st, I'm bulldozing the whole thing off and it's going to become farm field." So, I lived there. It was important to me. It was, it was home for me. It was home for a bunch of, our people in our community and our friends and family. And I just thought, a small little town, if it loses something like this, it's going to be devastating. And it was important for us, so we decided that we'd buy it, okay? So I said, hey, we'll try to get everything together. Let's finish the sale in March, okay? I mean, like, anybody who ever starts to run their own business or develop their business or anything here, you will find that if you decide that you're going to start something and begin the process in September, the thought of being ready by March is not unheard of. he basically said, hey, that's not going to work. We need to close by the third week of October at the latest. So what do you think, if you're getting ready to buy something, okay, and it's second week of September, and you need to have it closed by the third week of October, what's your biggest issue? Anybody? Throw it out there. What'd you say? Time. Nope, not, well, the time is the issue, but the time's the issue because you're trying to find what? The money. Because we're not talking about, going down and buying a box of shoes or something like that, okay? I mean, we've got 165 acres and, I don't know, $500,000 of equipment and multiple buildings and stuff. So, you're trying to figure out how to come up with this. As a banker, what do you guys think one of the top things on the blacklist is, that the banks say, there's no way on earth we're going to loan on? Golf course, right? So I got 5 weeks to come up with money that banks won't loan on, okay? Things are looking promising, right? So as you guys will probably find on your own as you guys get into entrepreneurship and starting businesses or leading them for someone else that's maybe, the capital that you come up with is often the hardest. So we reached out to a private, we were able to handle everything privately. I think that's something that many of you might end up finding down the road of something that you end up doing. So we get everything ready. All right, we go in, we change up the clubhouse, get all that stuff ready. We're super excited, the season's going to start. What happens? Keep in mind, we bought the golf course in October of 2019. So we're ready to open in spring of 2020. What happens? COVID, right? So here you are, new business owners. We've never owned a business a day in our life. We're prepping, we're getting ready for this. And what happens? Maybe the biggest pandemic the world's ever seen, right? Boom. We fix up the clubhouse. Guess what? Nobody's allowed inside the building, right? Nobody, so we're constantly changing and twisting and developing and trying to come up with all different kinds of ways and ideas to, having run people back and forth, taking stuff out to them. So, constant challenges each and every day with the course. Keep in mind, as COVID hit, what also happened, the mortgage industry hit a massive boom, right? So now I'm even more obsolete. I'm less around. So that led to us making the decision that my wife would leave her position as the trauma manager and just kind of start handling more of like the daily books and stuff like that for the golf course. So kind of got us to that point, and we've had a lot of different changes and things that we've tried to do. We tried to, we spoke earlier at a different class, and one of the questions that came up was, what do you try to focus on, or what do you try to? And I think the topic that we just kept going back to over and over was, you've got to focus on your organization's, their attitude. What are you what are you trying to put out there? What are you trying to, what image are you trying to portray? The old owner didn't have a very welcoming facility. It wasn't a welcoming environment. So it was important for us to try to change and get it to where people were wanting to show up, wanting to be a part of it, wanting to be around the golf course more. And, we focused on, we made the decision we were going to focus on the areas of youth, okay? We really, really started focusing on the high school sports, the middle school sports. In fact, there is one of our initial high school individuals in the room. Go ahead, throw your arm up. Yep. She actually was one of the original class that we actually started with from the local high school. Yeah, Lily was a part of it. So glad to have her here today. But we focused on the high school, the youth. We also started focusing a lot on couples. Okay? You got to think about this. What is I say this all the time with golf. We are not a need industry. We are a want industry, right? I mean, we got these kids on the high school team, okay? They might be the only example of the people who needed to be there, right? No one else needed to be there. They were there because they wanted to be there. They were there because they wanted to play golf. They wanted to be outside. They wanted to be with friends. So if you guys are starting a business and doing that stuff and you realize that your business is a want and not a need, then you need to figure out how to make sure that you are separating yourself from all of these other places, okay? Because if you think about right now, what's, in the last couple of years, what's happened? Interest rates has went up. I don't know how many of you live on campus or live in dorms or whatever, but, if you rent, has rent not went up? Rents went up, right? Fuels went up. I gave the scenario earlier. 31 years ago, I started at Ball State, okay? I'm pretty sure I could have probably bought half or all of the McDonald's menu for $1, okay? And I mean, like what? I mean, like a hamburger, a fry, and a drink's probably $6 now. So there's less and less and less discretionary money for everybody, okay? And if there's less money for everybody, then they have to make a decision where they're going to spend those funds, right? So, if you have a couple and you focus on that couple together, right? And they love golf, and they love being at the golf course, and they love everything about it, and they're looking at their finances, and they're trying to make that determination of, am I going to spend this money, how are we going to spend this extra money we have? If this is something that they love together, we have a lot better chance of them continuing to spend it, correct? How many guys in here golf? Okay, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up, guys. How many guys in here have a girlfriend? Keep your hands up. Okay? All right. How many guys in here have a girlfriend that does not golf? Keep your hand up. Okay? If you was to, all the hands that are up, if you were to say, hey, we've got 50, you guys can put your hands down now. We got $50 for the budget, okay? And you were to like, great news, honey. I'm going golfing with the boys this weekend, okay? Well, what am I going to do? Well, I don't know, right? How's that going to work out, right? I mean, it might not work out, you might have your idea of how it's going to work out, but let me tell you, it's not working out how you think it's working out, okay? But if you've got a couple and that's what they like to do, and that's what they like to spend their money on, and they're going to do it together, they're going to be much, much, much less likely to say, hey, we're not going to cut this out. We're going to keep doing it, right? We're going to enjoy it. My wife did do something that has helped us tremendously at the golf course because, a lot of golf courses are owned by, either large corporations or guys or golf pros or whatever, but my wife has, changed the whole feel of, you walk in the pro shop, there's a much larger selection of female clothes now. There's female hats, there's, female gloves. Another small thing that I say small, the females don't agree. I mean, I think we have probably the nicest female bathrooms in the golf industry. but my wife's like, hey, look, we like to go into a nice bathroom, okay? I mean, we like to, so it all helps. It kind of creates this atmosphere. It creates this feeling of, hey, I can go there, I can feel comfortable, I can like it, I can enjoy it. So those are some things that we've, I know for a fact that Lily's ran in on a Friday night after a practice before a football game and been like, I gotta hurry up and change. We got, home football game tonight. I gotta, and I don't think she probably ever felt grossed out to change in the bathroom or any, So just think through some of these things and stuff as you guys become business owners and how you want to, you got to figure out, no matter what you're doing, how to separate yourself, right? I mean, everybody does it. Amazon's done it. Microsoft's done it. But, I would love for each and every one of you to end up becoming, a Jeff Bezos or, a Gates or one of those. And I'd really love it if you reached back out to me and said, you remember that one time that, boy, that changed. It's not going to happen, I don't think. But if it does, that would be awesome. But at the same time, you guys all have a chance to be small business owners that can turn them into, larger corporations and stuff. You have to figure out, what am I going to do to separate myself, okay? What different things are we going to do to make some changes? So let's just kind of open it up. What kind of questions do you guys have? Whether it's from I know we got the leadership class in here from being a leader, a manager, from that side, from the entrepreneurship side with the, what kind of questions anybody got? Oh, okay, in the back.
So, I played your golf course before you bought it and after.
Okay.
You guys have spent a lot of time trying to make that a lot nicer. How did you say, okay, we're going to go in and tackle this and this, and how did you decide where to start?
Okay, so the question was, this young man had played the golf course before and after my wife and I had bought the golf course, and he had noticed that we had made a lot of changes over time, and he had just asked how we pick and chose what we were going to do or how we were going to do it. I would honestly, from this side, probably never advise anybody to maybe go the same way we did with it. We have never once written a business plan. We have never once put together, because you have to understand, we go from first week of September, do you want to buy a golf course? Nah. Second week of September, yeah, I think we will. 5 weeks later, we're running it, okay? So there wasn't a lot of this, okay, we're going to build this, and this is how I see it. It was almost like, I don't know if the water's warm or cold, but we're going to jump in here in a couple minutes, okay? And that's kind of how it was. A lot of what we did was we were fortunate, very fortunate, that we had a couple key employees that stayed on, okay? So when we bought the golf course, my wife and I have a very kind of soft, welcoming kind of, I just think that's our demeanor, that's kind of our personality. The previous individual was very rigid, so what we ended up doing was we had some employees that he had that did not feel that we had any capacity to run this show. They did not feel that we would be in existence. They felt that we would run it in the ground because we weren't like hardline, and they felt that's what needed to be done, okay? Fortunately, all of those people left, and I think they would have left over time just from the feel anyways. But those who stayed on, we leaned on them a lot, bud, and we kind of asked them. Some of it was just simply like on our golf course, we had a really nice product. Like the golf course was a nice product. It was the clubhouse didn't have a warm feel. The outside appearance didn't have a warm feel. everything was very kind of utilitarian. You just kind of, this is what you get. It's a box, deal with it. We made decisions to put a lot of money into like our greens, because if you're a golfer, if you've got a good green to play on or putt on, you know, that makes you happy. You don't like to, man, I hit a great shot up there and I got ready to hit a putt and it was, you know, the greens were bouncing all over the place and I couldn't, you know. So you like that. We made that decision to really, I mean, we probably, well, I will say this. In the chemical world, on the greens, we buy the absolute, there is no product above what we buy. And it's expensive. Like, it's crazy expensive, and it blows my mind every time I have to put that, you know, down on the ground, okay? Especially when I'm like, there it went. It was just like, it's, you know, you see them spray it on the green, and it just poof. I mean, I'm talking like $5,000 a pop. So it doesn't take long to sit there and, you know, get a bad stomach ache when you watch that. But we made that decision. Then we tried to really soften it up on the inside. We redid the whole clubhouse. Just trying to make the atmosphere. But a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, just kind of like, hey, when this happens, we need to fix this. The other thing I think that we've done, and this isn't like critical of the old owner. The old owner, I think, knew he was done. And I think he knew he was done probably 3 or 4 years before he was really done. And he just started putting Band-Aids on everything, you know, which isn't the way, you know, and a Band-Aid here ends up usually causing another issue over here. So that's what, we had a lot of that and stuff. So, but thanks for coming out, past. Thanks for coming out again. So who else got something? Yes, sir.
What do you usually shoot on 9 and 18?
What do I usually shoot on 9 and 18? I don't play very much because I bought a golf course. Okay, I used to play a lot more. This will be, I think, the 3rd year in a row that I will have played more rounds at other courses than I played at my own all year. Okay, and that's only because of charity golf outings with Ruoff. Okay. I can still probably, I'm gonna be close to par. I can still tool it around, but I'm not gonna, you know, nothing spectacular. I just tool it around. I'm a lot wiser. I've learned all the shots that I just can't try to hit no more. There's no reason to try to hit it. And as a result, I don't get myself in deep shit like I used to, okay? So, fair enough?
Yep.
Yeah. Wiser, not better. Yes, sir, back here.
I've heard that like 80 to 90%.
Hey, hang on, I can't hear you, hang on.
I've heard like 80 to 90% of small businesses usually run out of money within the first 5 years. Obviously, yours was a little different with COVID, but what was the most difficult part of like turning a profit for you?
Yeah, so, and if you guys couldn't hear, he said that 80 to 90% of the businesses run out of money in, what would you say, in the first 5 years, okay? So his question was how did we do it? And, you know, you say, I will say this about COVID, okay? COVID probably introduced some people to golf that had not been playing golf, okay? COVID got some people to get their clubs back out, okay? Because they were like, hey, look, I got to work from home. I got my work done by noon. I can't do anything anywhere but go outside. So I guess I'll just go ahead and go to, you know, I'll go ahead and go to the golf course, right? So that did help. At the same time, it created a lot of other issues because we were having the Board of Health tell us, you know, like, one, nobody could come inside, okay? The other thing was every golf cart had to have, there was this concoction that they gave. I mean, we had the old pump sprayers that you would use to like kill weeds. And we had this concoction we had to put in there, and we had to spray down every cart top to bottom when it was done. And then it had to wait so many seconds, and nobody could touch it until that, you know. And then only one person was allowed in a cart. So it was a great thing, but at the same time, there was a lot of extra work and stuff. I think the hardest part, of, when you, and I think buying a business is probably, it still has its own difficulties. It's a little different than starting your own. When you, Moss, what's up, man? When you start your own, you kind of see your ramp up phase when you start your own. When you buy one, I mean, like you were talking back there earlier, bud. You walk in and you're like, oh, I want to redo the clubhouse today. I want to put in a new pump, station. Oh, I want to put a new sign in. I want to enclose the pavilion. And, you got this money and this revenue coming in, and, you don't really know what you're doing yet. And you're like, man, I got all this money. If you're not careful, I mean, it's gone. Okay? So I think the thing that you've got to determine is how do you make those baby steps? Because our biggest problem when we bought the golf course, okay, Bud, with the red shirt that played there before, how long ago had you played it before?
About a year.
So when he would have played it the first time, we were charging somewhere around, maybe $22 to $26 to play 18 in a cart, okay? We now are getting ready to go to $40 for 18 in a cart, okay? Our problem was the old owner's belief was the golf course is in Albany. Nobody's ever going to drive to Albany to play golf. So you got to figure out how to have the cheapest product there is, right? Well, let me ask you this. If you went to market with the cheapest product out there, what's the consumer going to think that you've got? A bad product, right? So that was a mindset that we had to try to figure out how to change, was to get people to think, hey, because I'm a little biased, okay? But I think we've got a really good product, okay? I'm not here to tell you that it's Pebble Beach or, Augusta or anything like that, but I think we got a really good product. And for $38, $40, I think we got a great product, okay? But we couldn't go, you're sitting there at maybe $22 for 18 in the cart, and you're going, I need to get to 35. Well, if we walked in day one and said, hey, great news, everybody, we've posted the new rates. It only costs $35 to play here now. All right? We've now alienated our customer base that we already had, correct? So now you've already pushed all these people out that are already there supporting you. That's the worst thing to do. You need that money that wants to support you coming in. So we've had to very systematically each year just kind of move it up. But as we've done it, one of the important things for us is we have also tried to make sure that as we're making these, additional charges, that we're giving a better product, okay? Like for instance, 2 years ago, we got 66 new golf carts, okay? It was a massive commitment for us to go down that path. I mean, we got $380,000 in golf carts. Do you just like them wheel in there and go, oh, thank goodness, man, boy, now I'm going to make, I'm going to make an extra $180,000 this year. No, you don't. You get to charge a couple extra dollars more, less maintenance, less overhead, less, repairs, not changing batteries because they're, but again, better product. It's a little bit easier to ask for those few extra dollars. So, but to answer your question, man, you just got to be careful because it is really easy. And I, as a banker, because I was a small business banker, probably the last 7 or 8 years that I was in banking, I'd have these clients come in, they were like, oh my God, I just sold this landscaping deal down the road to this guy, $50,000 deal. Like, man, I'm going out and buying a mini excavator today, and I'm getting me a dump truck. And I'm like, okay, what's a $50,000 job? How much you got in materials? Well, I got 25 in materials. Well, how much you got in labor? Well, I got 15 in labor. Okay, well, I mean, okay, now we're at 40. Okay, well, how much you got in well, I got, 3,000 in taxes. Okay, you still got to pay for your insurance, I'm like, dude, you got $2,000 left over and you just went and bought a new Mini and a truck. But, the eyes get real big. You see this, you just be slow, be patient. There's I will say this, my father-in-law was a very successful businessman for many, many years. And his motto was always, man, there's nothing I love more than April 15th, which is tax day. He goes, there's nothing I love more than writing a big old check. He goes, because if I wrote a big old check, that means that I made some big old money. So a lot of people kind of view that a different way about how, I ain't paying taxes, but his philosophy was, hey, if I got to pay taxes, it's because I did very well. So what else? Come on, I spoke at a room that had like 20 people in it, and there was a million questions. Yes, ma'am.
So I know you talked about your wife wanted to make sure that the golf course felt welcoming to women. I've played there before as well, and I've noticed that a lot of the branding has pink in it, like all the sport cards and flags and stuff. And that's something that's really, I really appreciate. And I'm curious how the perception, when you kind of made that branding change, how the perception was received by women maybe in a more positive way, but wasn't perceived negatively by men.
Yes. Okay, so her comment was, and thank you for playing there, she has played at our golf course before, okay? And I really wish my wife was here. She would so appreciate everything that you just said. So in our logo, which would probably been really nice if I would have wore something that had our logo on it, okay? But our logo... Am I that bad? I mean, come on. Come on, I mean. Oh, okay. So in our logo, it's basically kind of got like Albany kind of written out with like the golf club written underneath it. And it's got a flag on it. And with the flag is pink. Okay, so it's a pink flag, and it's not just like she has on like a pale Yankees hat, pale pink. This is like a bright pink. Okay, so when we bought the golf course, I told my wife, I said we need to freshen up the logo or do something. Okay, well, she was a nurse, but her first passion at Ball State was graphic arts, okay? So she literally just sits down and like 20 minutes later draws up a logo and says, here, this is our logo. And that's literally been our logo ever since, okay? So she's got it drawn out, and she's got this beautiful pink, bright pink flag on there. So between that October date and when we were getting ready to open, I go online to order new flags, right? Because about every year you need to order new flags for a golf course. So I bring her over and I'm like, hey, what do you think about these? These are really cool. They're blue and white checkered and all this other stuff. And she said, do you have any idea of branding or what you're doing? And I'm like, I thought these were pretty good looking flags. And she goes, have you seen our logo? And I was like, well, yeah. And she goes, we must have pink flags. And I'm like, I ain't never seen a pink flag at a golf course in my entire life. And she goes, not like the baby pink. She goes, I want bright pink. I'm like, oh, okay. So literally have to find a manufacturer in Texas to hand make these, or, come up with this special just so she got her pink flags, okay? So then we're redoing the scorecards. So she goes, she's working with a local business, and he said, hey, we can, got these beautiful, and she goes, no, they have to be pink, because our flags are pink. The scorecards have to be pink to match the flags. Okay, So then I'm getting ready to order pencils. Anybody want to guess what color our damn pencils are? They're pink, right? So basically pink has become kind of this whole theme of the course, all right? And the very first day that we put these pink flags out on the course, her question was, what was, she likes it, but she guesses that the female and maybe the youth liked it, but what was the perception of the golf course, the older, not a lot of kind words the first day, okay? What kind of a place is this? Who runs this place around here now? What's going on? And basically my wife's personality and my wife's attitude, Lily can attest to it, Moss can attest, that my wife is just this beaming glow, okay? And she was like, you guys need to embrace it. You guys need to love it. It's so great. And I would say within a week, all these old guys that were questioning why they ever wanted to play at Albany Golf Club again were then going to her and saying, you know what I noticed? Since I had my cataract surgery, my vision's been down a little bit, but I can see those pink flags a lot farther than I used to. It's even gone far enough now where, with a flag, they're actually very expensive. Golf flags are very expensive, and they get beat up really bad throughout the course of a year. So there's these companies now that sell these plastic sleeves that you just slide over the top of them, and you just take like a hair dryer or like a little hot gun or whatever, and it just shrinks them on there. Well, so we broke it out for the girls' conference this year. We went all bright pink sticks, all bright pink flags, and we left them out for one extra day after the tournament was over. Pretty much, everybody was upset that we put them up. They were like, we love it better. That's what it is. Our staff now, my wife got all the workers pink pink work shirts. So now they wear their pink. I mean, it's just kind of become our image. It just kind of become, but that's something, like you said, that's something that you noticed. It was, and it's been definitely loved by the youth. The girls, they love it. We just tried to build on it. I guess maybe, that pink flag. I mean, has anybody else played the golf course that has pink flags? No. Because if you have, let me know, because I'd like to know where you buy them from, okay? So thank you, though, for coming out. Appreciate that. Who else got a question? Yes, sir.
A lot of people say stuff about don't go into business with your family, don't go into business like your partner or something like that. What is your take on it with some of that?
Yeah.
Business with your partner?
Yeah, so I will say this. The one thing that I would not do, I would not go into business with family, and I would not actually go into business with someone else, because I think now I'm not talking about my spouse, okay? You're already in business with her, okay? But what I'm saying is I want it to where if I make a decision and it's wrong, I'm the one that's going to eat it. And if I want to make a decision because I think it's right, I want to be able to make it, okay? I think it would be very, very, very difficult to, here's a perfect example. Yesterday we were aerifying the greens, okay? So if you don't know what aerifying the greens is, basically this machine goes through and it rips out all of these, these plugs. They're about the size of your pinky. It literally just pulls the dirt out. You clean them all up. Then you put sand in it. And then that way it makes the greens. It holds water better. It holds nutrients. It gets air into it better. It just makes the greens better long term, okay? So we were doing the process yesterday. We got to that point where we were trying to figure out, okay, we've gotten the front done. We need to go to the back. Yesterday was gorgeous. Is that not? So everybody wanted to come out and play. So I literally just went to our person in the pro shop yesterday, and I said, look, if somebody wants to come out right now, we got the course all jacked up. Just tell them, give them a cart. Tell them we're not even going to charge them. Just tell them to go out, start on 10. If there's somebody on, working on 10, go to 11. If there's but don't charge them. Just go play, go have a good time. It's kind of hard for them to get ticked off you didn't pay anything, okay? So it's kind of hard to feel like they didn't get a value out of it. Most of them were super appreciative. A lot of them, unfortunately, stopped and wanted to talk to me longer than I really had to talk to them because I needed to keep working. But I don't know if I was in business with someone else and I said, hey, I just told everybody to play for free today. That other person might be like, it was one of the nicest days of the year. It was in October. We're not going to get a chance to make much more money like that, So I personally don't think I could go into business with someone else, okay? Now, everybody's got to make their own decisions, and, sometimes you're kind of forced into it, sometimes due to finances, or resources or knowledge or, something like that. But, yeah, just my personal opinion. Yeah. What else?
Could you share a little bit about how you went about getting the finances for that? Because you mentioned that golf courses aren't high on a banker's list for loaning, so how did you go about on the private side?
Yeah, you just basically, you just better have a good enough character and know enough people that you can walk up to someone and say, hey, let's say that by outside chance, I need $1 million in 5 days. Okay? And honestly, you just got to be lucky enough that you know someone well enough that they're like, okay.
So you went the silent partner route.
I went with a short, because my problem was, even myself was having a hard time, all the years I'd been in banking and everything, in a position where in 5 weeks, I could properly move, allocate, and position myself with even my own funds without getting destroyed on taxes or anything else. So it was I need you to just get this, I need this right now, and then we'll square it up later. And it was literally, I was very blessed. It was literally, hey, here's a $950,000 check, and we'll worry about the details later. So that, I will tell you guys, the one thing you need to know, and everybody can say, it is who you know in this world, okay? Just an FYI. And I know Dr. Dixon might not want me to say that, and I know Rob might not want me to say that, okay? Okay, but at the end of the day, this world is about who you know, okay? So I tell my 13-year-old son all the time, he'll be in a situation or he'll be frustrated or he'll end up playing in some tennis tournament and some kid's just a nasty-ass little brat and, throwing his racket. And, I'm talking 12-year-olds and, Moss, you've been there. You know what I'm saying? They're chucking it and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you still need to handle yourself above board, because what you don't know is whether or not that, that USTA official that's walking around might end up one day being the head of the USTA. And when you walk in to apply for a job one day and you're like, wait a minute, you were the kid who was in Dayton on court 4 when the other little idiot was throwing a fit, and you were the one that stood there with your hat off at the net waiting to shake, So just remember, and I'm kind of fortunate, I'm probably the only damn person in here who's not on Facebook, okay? Don't even know really how to get to Facebook, okay? But keep in mind too, it's crazy. I'll be doing a loan for someone, and my assistant will come up to me and be like, hey, I just want to let you know, here's 10 things that I already know about this client that you're getting ready to do a loan for from Facebook. So it's amazing, I know employers are always looking, and I'm sure if you're an entrepreneur and getting ready to go out and trying to ask for money, I'm sure as you're sitting there going, hey, I could sure use some money, and when they see you, handling it like it's homecoming, 6 weeks in a row on your Facebook page, I'm guessing they're probably not as delighted to want to get the checkbook out, okay? So keep that stuff in mind. I know we're in college. Let's have fun. I'm not saying that, okay? So what else?
So I have a question. Hopefully you don't have to repeat yourself because I was a little late. Sorry about that. But for someone looking to be an entrepreneur or start their own business, what would you say, what advice would you give to them outside of saving money or getting the capital? Outside of that part, what do you think is another big thing for them to be like ready for?
I think that, you know, I mentioned this I spoke at another class of Rob's earlier, and the one thing that I use this this is a factual event when I was a banker. I had 2 clients, both of them ran incredibly large illegal gambling operations, okay? This is very factual, okay? Like factual enough that you could go pull it up in the paper, okay? One of them had an attorney who was charging him $300 an hour, okay? And he came into the bank and was throwing a fit. You ain't gonna believe this, they want $300 an hour. I found a buddy who's gonna represent me for $50 an hour, okay? The other one's belief was, you go out and you buy the best attorney and you buy the best accountant that you can possibly have, where you have those legal resources and that knowledge standing behind you, okay? I will say out of those 2, one of them went to federal prison, okay? One of them never had anything done to them ever in their life, okay? You can guess, you know, the old $50 Dewey, Cheatham and Howe attorney, he did not keep his buddy out of federal prison, okay? But it's just, you know, I think it's really important, Moss, to have a strong, you know, that background. I have an accounting degree, everyone. I have never done my own taxes a day in my life, okay? Never. I mean, I don't plan to. I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not up on it. I don't stay up on it. I think it's a really poor idea. But I feel as if I have tremendous accountants and tremendous lawyers behind me. The other thing that I would definitely advise is make sure that you have, you know, make sure, you know, because if you're going to own your own business, you better be in a position to be doing something that you're willing to enjoy, okay? Because it is going to suck the life out of you, okay? So if it's already sucking the life out of you because you don't like it, then it's going to be 10 times worse, you know. The other thing too, and I say this all the time to my loan officers, I say it all the time, when I have high school girls that are crying at the golf course because their boyfriends, you know, kissed some other girl the night before and they just found out and the world could never be any worse and, you know, the sky has completely crashed upon me, okay? I'm going to give you this saying, and if you guys write this down, I flat-ass guarantee you there will never be anything in your life that this is not true, okay? Dr. Dixon, you got this? Your least loss is your earliest loss. The least loss is your earliest loss. Okay? Let's throw some scenarios. Starting to have some car trouble, right? Oh God, I don't want to take it in right now. Mechanic said it might cost $100 to fix it. I'm just going to go without it for a while, okay? I think it'll be okay. What happens? Whatever was causing that $100 issue ended up causing this to break, right? So now what are you in? Now you're in 500. Oh, 500, I don't want to do that. I'll just let that go. Well, next thing you know, guess what? The car ain't running anymore or it's out of operation, okay? So least loss is your earliest loss, okay? You're a landlord one day, right? Okay? So you're a landlord. I don't care whether you're commercial, residential, whatever. You're a landlord, okay? They are not paying rent, Okay, you're having all these issues with them, problems, they're lying to you. Do you think letting them stay an extra 6 or 7 months is going to financially help you? Nope. What's going to happen? Not only are you going to go 6 or 7 more months without the money, okay, but now you're going to have to probably, how are they going to take care of it? They're not, okay? So now you're going to have more issues. So guess what? If we would have parted ways earlier, our lease loss would have been our earliest loss would have been our lease loss, okay? All right, so you got the, go back to the high school girl. She's got the boy that she's just in love with. She's going to spend the rest of her life with him. And he kisses the other girl at the dance, right? So she hangs in there. Oh, it'll all be better. It'll all be better. It's not going to be better, right? It's just going to be longer heartache, right? So I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what you're talking about. Your least loss is your earliest loss. If you're getting ready to sell a house, okay, you put it out there on the market, it doesn't, comes back, didn't sell, had some inspection issues, somebody comes to you and says, hey, look, I know you wanted $250, I'll give you $218 for it, okay? You're like, nah. Let me tell you, when you put that thing back on the market and they're like, that house has been on the market now for 150 days, you're going to wish you would have taken $218 for it because you're not going to get the more, okay? So remember that. Least loss, or your earliest loss is your least loss, always. So when you're sitting there trying to make a decision of like, hey, boy, we started up this business and did you guys know that we lose $75 every week on fish tacos? Okay? Deciding that you're going to keep fish tacos for another year is probably not your answer to figure out how to, it's going to get worse, right? What else? Yes, sir.
So, I feel like golf courses have like their people that are loyal to those courses, like no matter what.
Okay.
And how does like new ownership affect that? Did you have like people that were members for 15 years that just up and left?
Yeah. So his question was, he feels that golf courses are very loyal, and he wanted to know if when we bought the golf course, if there were members who'd been longtime members who just disappeared. And the answer was yes, we did lose some people, okay? I think it's kind of like with the employees, the people who felt the mentality of the old owner, the ones that felt that was what they liked better, probably, I hate to say it, but the ones that did not want Lily out there golfing because she's a high school girl, they went elsewhere, okay? But what we replaced that with was the people who embraced having the high school. You know what I'm saying? The people who were like, this is great that they're focused on the youth. This is great that they're focused on the community. This is great that, so we did lose. I can think of a couple right off the top of my head that, were just like, yeah.
I also know though that there's people like I know people personally that think that it's 100 times better since you guys have taken over too. Like I go out there and I play with McCready and all them.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I started playing out there because I had Dave Norris as my coach.
Oh yeah.
He was my golf coach.
Yeah.
So that was how I kind of got introduced to coming back out there and playing.
Yeah.
But I just know that do you think that you gained more members than you lost? Is I guess what I'm trying to get at.
About more than we lost? No, I'm talking like we probably more than doubled all of the existing members. I'm saying I can think of 2 or 3 that I know we lost. I'm telling you we probably doubled what we had. Yeah. What else?
All right, one more question.
Oh, one more question. No, somebody's got to ask something good. Come on. Moss? fresh out of questions. Dr. Dixon.
There you go, right there, last one.
How have you managed to lead an entire team that runs your entire operation?
Yeah, so the question was, how have we managed to lead an entire team that runs our entire operation? So first of all, my wife and I are usually not there, okay? I get there about 6:30 in the morning. I'm gone by 7:30 on my way to Ruoff. My wife is a mom. She's running usually my son everywhere for tennis, back and forth to school and all that. So what's important is we've got the right people in the right places, like in the pro shop. We obviously meet with them periodically to make sure that the messaging is the same. And then out on the superintendent side, we have, I meet with our superintendent every day to go over what we're doing, how we're doing it, the plans of what we're doing. And he kind of runs with his team out on the course side. But I think the biggest part is when you have everyone there working for the same common goal, which is a better facility that more people want to be at, that provides a better product, at a more enjoyable experience. If everybody's focusing on that same goal, I don't think you necessarily have to lead. The other thing that I will tell you, back to your least loss is your earliest loss. If you've got that employee that is cancer, the faster they are gone, the less the cancer spreads. So I know that's not easy, that's not hard. If my wife was sitting here, she would be the first to tell you, she would be like, I've never fired anyone, okay? And she'd smile and look at me, okay? Because anytime there's a problem, she comes to me and she's like, you're gonna have to let them go. And I'm like, well, why don't you let them go? And she goes, because they love me. And if I fire them, then they're not gonna love me. So, and maybe that's one of the things as a husband and wife team or whatever. I don't want to say it's good cop, bad cop, but, she has this beautiful persona and I'm the one that has to go and say, hey, look, you've made it 3 days in the last 30. It's probably time for us to part ways, okay? And but just don't be afraid. And I don't care whether you own a business or just a manager of something. Don't be afraid to address that situation. If you've got a cancer, the quicker you can get rid of it, the better. Hey, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.